Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be talking about some updates on the Microsoft layoffs. We found out a couple of the things that happened. The first one we found out is the Perfect Dark Reboot game that we saw a pretty in-depth trailer to is now canceled, and the initiative is now just closed down. We're going to be on PC Gamer today. This is written by Andy Chalk. Thank you for the article. It'll be written down? It'll be linked down in the description down below. The title goes, Microsoft cancels the Perfect Dark reboot that blew us away last year, closes developer The Initiative. Microsoft laid off 9,000 employees today, and cancellation closures are following. I honestly, this one is very surprising to me because it seemed like the game was going fine. The trailer we got last year was really good. It looked really interesting. It looked almost like a Deus Ex style or like a Prey 2017 game. Like it looked like a really interesting immersive sim game, and now apparently it's just gone, which is pretty surprising. Just before we get into the article, I'd like to remind everyone, please subscribe to the channel. 95% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so I really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. The layoffs sweeping across Microsoft today have claimed the anticipated Perfect Dark reboot that was announced in 2020, which a variety of reports says now has been cancelled. The Initiative, the studio making the game, has also been closed. And if this is really the case, I feel like Microsoft needs something needs to happen to Microsoft's management. Like what do you mean this game is being closed? It should be almost done. Like what's the point of closing this down? Like I am so confused in so many ways. Like at this point, sometimes you have to have like some humility or something like that, because Microsoft, you're like, why are you closing this game down, like out of everything? Like I thought the whole layoffs was just management. This doesn't sound like management, but then again, we already knew they were lying to us. But it's just so weird. We have made the decision to stop development of Perfect Dark and Everwild, as well as wind down several unannounced projects across our portfolio, Xbox Game Studios chief Matt Booty says in a memo sent to staff. Everwild, I think, is a MMO game, which, to be fair, I don't think anyone should be making MMOs right now. MMOs, I think, are just money sinks that aren't going to make it because you can't fight World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, and you just can't. So I think you have to wait until one of those two games just destroy themselves and players stop playing, and then you can make an MMO. As part of this, we're closing one of our studios, The Initiative. This decision, along with other changes across the team, reflect a broader effect to adjust priorities and focus resources to set up our teams for greater success within a changing industry landscape. Now this is just BS. Like what the changing industry landscape, they were making a single player game that would have been sold fine. Like it would have sold well because everyone was super excited for this game. I saw a lot of pretty decent hype when that trailer launched. Everyone, like the immersive sim crowd, while not like hundreds of millions of players, is still millions of players, and like that entire crowd was super excited for this game because no one really thought this game was going to be a immersive sim game. But the trailer and the demonstration looked like, oh, this game is like Deus Ex, the original Deus Ex, or the Deus Ex Human Revolution, or Prey 2017. Like it looked really nice, and the game was announced in 2020, so it should be almost done. Like it's 5 years in development. So I don't know if this is what Xbox thinks about. Like I want to know what Xbox thinks what the industry landscape is changing into then, because like if I swear to God, if Xbox starts making live service games, like okay, so I guess Xbox has just admitted defeat and they're just gonna bankrupt themselves by making games, release them 2 weeks later, shut them down. Like what changing landscape means that you can't make a single player game? Like those are generally the games that you release, and those are like not guaranteed success, but they're safer bets usually because you don't have to pay for servers and stuff like that. You know, you don't have to keep a 100,000 player base every month. You can just sell copies. That's the only thing you're worried about, and then later sell DLC or something like that. So I don't know what changing landscape this and Microsoft thinks is happening. And to be fair, I guess you have to do something different because Microsoft sucks at like they're stuck in third place and have been for a very long time and are nowhere near beating Sony or Nintendo. To be fair, no one's near beating Nintendo, but still. So I guess this is something, but this is not what I thought they were going to do. Like when they initially said they were shutting, like this is also not a small part of the Microsoft of the Xbox. Like that whole memo that we saw in the other report is like, how is this small adjustments? Then again, like when it's literally thousands of people getting fired, we already knew that they were lying about small. But they also said that Xbox Game Studios wasn't going to be affected a lot, but they literally shut down a studio. How is that? I don't know. I feel like sometimes I get really annoyed at when people talk, when like corporations talk like this and people talk like this. I'm like, in what world is this small, and in what world is this not affecting Xbox? Like, it's super annoying in my opinion, because like it just makes it so every time anyone says anything, you have to say, okay, we don't believe you because you've lied constantly every time you've opened your mouth. So it's like, I don't believe anything anyone says anymore when it comes to anyone talking about how things are going. The initiative was founded in 2018, and its debut project, Perfect Dark, was formally revealed in 2020 as a futuristic eco-sci-fi shooter. That's not just about shooting. Development had reportedly hit some bumps in the road, and a release date was never announced, but a gameplay reveal trailer in 2024 knocked our socks off. Yeah, it wasn't just PC Gamer, it knocked a lot of people's socks off. PC Gamer's Ted Litchfield said Perfect Dark is looking like it could be something special when it's finally released. That made its absence from 2025 Summer Games Fest especially notable. Yeah, I mean, it looked like it was going to be the next immersive sim, which it really sucks that it is being shut down. I really hope something can happen with it, but like, the problem is Microsoft also owns Perfect Dark. So like, it's just going to be, once again, it's another IP that a big company owns is not going to be used. So instead, we're going to get the 400th Call of Duty. Microsoft announces today that it is laying off approximately 9,000 employees, with many of them coming from the company's gaming business. Yeah, so like literally the exact opposite of what they said before, because they said it wasn't going to affect, or maybe this is just the Microsoft people, or that this is just the gaming side. I don't know. They said it wasn't a big portion of these layoffs wasn't gonna be on the Xbox side, but it looks like once again they were just lying. Along with the cancellation of Perfect Dark, it also canceled Rare's Everwild and an unannounced MMO in development at Elder Scrolls Online Studio, ZeniMax, and opposed layoffs at both studios. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I feel like Microsoft needs leadership change, because whatever they're doing isn't working. They need leadership change. I think Phil Spencer is a nice guy, but obviously whatever he's planning to do isn't working. When things are going well, you don't need to fire 9,000 people. Now, you can argue that maybe they too aggressively hired, but that's still management's fault. Like, it's still their fault. So I feel like it's the wrong people being fired here, because at this point, something is wrong against Microsoft and something needs to be done, because it's getting ridiculous. It's becoming the fact of, why would you ever own an Xbox? Because like, they had a couple, like 1 or 2 months of good things, and then all of a sudden, oh, Microsoft is once again on fire again. Like, I don't know how you can mess up so hard when Sony has like shot themselves in the foot like 3-4 times the past 2 years, and you're still in third place because of how poorly you have handled the last like 5 years, maybe even like 8 years at this point, ever since the Xbox One came out, basically. And it's just really sad, because Microsoft has so many IPs now, and like none of them are being utilized. And Perfect Dark was a game I was very excited about, and I'm so sad that it's being canceled. And if they are talking about the changing gaming industry landscape, I don't know what they mean by this. If they mean changing industry landscape in terms of downsizing because AAA studios are spending so much money and they've realized that the amount of money they earn is not equivalating to how much they spend, because people aren't stupid and they're not buying their crappy games. So they're just firing people now. And I mean, one good thing about this is that AA studios and indie games have never been better, because all these veterans are just saying, whatever, we'll just make our own games then. We don't need these guys. We'll just make our own studio, get small amounts of funding, or, have the budget be much more reasonable so we can just sell our games, and when people buy them, will make money off of it. Because so many people are just done with it, especially the hardcore gamers, which is a good portion of like the people who buy a lot of games, because like the casual gaming audience, they're still playing Fortnite, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, and stuff like that. Like, they're not moving on from those games, and the sports games, of course. So those people we're never going to buy Perfect Dark. Let's be real. They were never going to buy Perfect Dark, but that's okay, because Perfect Dark is a single player game that if you sell 1 million+ copies, that should be a great thing. You can slowly sell even more as people talk about it and stuff like that, and advertise, like marketing and all that type of stuff. And then when DLCs come out, people will buy the DLCs. But like, I don't understand what Microsoft is doing at all. And like, I'm relatively involved and I pay attention to the gaming industry, and I don't know what they mean by changing industry landscape, other than the fact that all AAA studios think there's a changing landscape. Like, all of them constantly talk about the changing industry landscape, landscape. And I honestly have no idea what they're talking about, because like the industry landscape, all that's really changed is that I guess people realize that live service games are actually a money sink and you probably shouldn't do them. And you shouldn't also be making 6 of them at once, because you have to make one of them, make that one good, because people won't play like 4 or 5 of these types of games because it's a sunk cost fallacy into one of the games. So I don't know. It's like the oddest thing to see all these AAA companies talk about the changing industry landscape, canceling projects left and right, firing a bunch of people, but the gaming industry in the whole has been making more money and has more players like than it's ever have before. And I'm not even including people playing mobile games on their phone. Like I'm just talking about console games and PC games. And they have more players than they ever have been. And there's been more money spent like buying video games and, you know, making video games than ever before. But apparently it's suffering. I don't know. Like maybe it's because the CEOs are all paid tens of millions of dollars every time. So there's no more money left to pay regular employees. But, you know, I'm starting to get too anti-corporate right now. So I'm just really sad. I was really excited for Perfect Dark. I really enjoy like the immersive sim genre. And you know, speaking of Deus Ex, I need to finish that game. I also need to play the new ones. I haven't actually played Deus Ex Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, even though it's not technically a finished series, and it'll probably never be, but you never know. Anyway, I'm really sad about this. Unfortunately, Rare, also like even in this too, Rare's new game is being canceled, and I really wish Rare could, like, to be fair, Rare is so disconnected from what they used to be. They're basically just the pirate game people, the Sea of Thieves makers now, because they basically haven't worked on anything since Sea of Thieves in forever. And I'm honestly kind of glad that they, like, no offense to people who enjoy MMOs, but like making MMOs is such, in my opinion, it is a terrible idea to make an MMO right now. I think it is going to fail as soon as it releases, because you simply do not have enough money in order to compete with people's expectations. Because when people move to an MMO, they expect World of Warcraft, but they expect the MMOs they've already played. For instance, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, even Elder Scrolls Online, and like what's other big MMOs? Like RuneScape is a pretty big now too, like still pretty big. So like, but they're expecting them at their current state. So with the 10 plus years of development behind them, but they're expecting that right away. And it's just like, I think people, when they say they want to play an MMO, I honestly think they are like not lying to themselves, but like they don't understand that what they want is they want the time when they were playing World of Warcraft at that moment again. But the thing is like, unless you're playing WoW Classic, that's not going to happen. And these new MMOs are just not made like that. And like, sure, you can talk about the old school ones, but like, they're not going to have enough player base to keep them funded for very long, because MMOs are too expensive to make, and that's the problem. And the only reason World of Warcraft could do it was because it literally had millions of people paying $15 a month 10 years ago, which is crazy when you think about it. It's not even 10 years ago. It's 20 years ago. It's almost 20 years ago now, because it came out in like what, 2006, and it's 2025. So like MMOs, I just don't think anyone should be making MMOs right now. I applaud developers that want to, and I understand that nostalgia feeling of playing MMOs and wanting to be in an MMO again, but I just don't think it's going to happen, because the big dogs are too big and they're too dominant, and the expectations are too high for MMOs. I think you need to wait it out, and it's just really sad. I was really hoping for Perfect Dark, because there hasn't been really an immersive sim in a while, so I was kind of excited for it, but I guess we're never going to get it, and it makes me sad. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. 95% of the people who watch my videos don't hit that subscribe button, so I appreciate it if you do. If you'd like to follow me on other places, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Blue Sky. Hit the like button, hit the dislike button if you dislike it. I understand. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye everyone.